Jean, the Petite Gardener, here today to tell you how to make a fun and easy terrarium. This is a great activity for the classroom as well as for your home. It's a good way to bring plants inside your house. First, what you're going to need is a nice clean container, a glass container, one you can see through. Make sure it's well washed before you start. You don't want to start with any bacteria. You can pick different containers. Doesn't matter what you pick, just something that appeals to you. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to need some gravel. I picked some very small gravel that I got from an aquarium store. Just very small. This is going to be our drainage. What we're doing is we're making a microenvironment. We're actually creating a rain cycle. This is a great thing to teach kids. We'll talk more about that later. So I'm going to put about a ½ inch of gravel into my terrarium. There we go. And then I have this little tool. I had to drink a lot of wine for this. It has a cork on it and a skewer. And this is my tamper. Easy tool to make. And I make sure that my gravel is tamped down nicely. Next, you want some activated charcoal. This is really easy to find in an aquarium store. And you just put a little bit of it on top of your gravel. This is really good because it's good for drainage as well as it takes away odors. You don't want odors in your classroom or your home. So sprinkle a little of this on top. Don't need a lot. Now let's get down to the dirt of the subject. What you want is some nice potting soil dirt. Something that's nice and loamy. And by loamy I mean it doesn't clump together. It's nice and loose. It doesn't have a lot of moisture in it. You want to make sure it's potting soil, not outdoor soil, because again, you don't want to bring bacteria and mold into your house or into your plants. So you're going to put about a ½ inch on the bottom. It depends how big your container is and how big your plants are. And again, you're going to use that tamping tool. Tamp it all down and make a little hole right in the middle. That's where you're going to be putting your plant. Today I picked a peperonia. And it's got a couple leaves on it that I don't care for, so don't be shy. Just really easily break off the leaves that don't look so good. Or use a pruner. You want your plant to start as healthy as possible. You can see I've got some nice healthy roots on there. So I'm going to put that down in the dirt. And I'm going to put a little bit more dirt on top of the roots. Now you want to make sure, if possible, the leaves really are not touching the sides, because that's where the moisture tends to accumulate, and you don't want them getting too wet. So I'm going to try to move this into the middle of my aquarium or my terrarium. You can also use aquariums if you like. There we go. And then I decided today I was going to get a little decorative. So I'm going to add what's called reindeer moss. I'm just going to put some in the very bottom, just because it looks really pretty. You can also add little figurines if you want. You can make it like a little fairy garden. Kids really like this part. So I'm just going to put it around, as you can see. Then I'm going to need to add a little water. I like to use a turkey baster. I put just a little bit of water in it, and I'm going to add just a bit of moisture, trying to get into the soil. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a lid on this. If you have a glass lid, that's fine. I didn't have a glass lid, so I'm just going to use a piece of saran wrap, and I'm going to put it over the top. As I said, we have created our own mini environment. We have created the water cycle. So how this works is when the leaves and the soil let moisture out, it actually condenses. It condenses onto the sides of the container. So we have evaporation from the soil and the leaves, condensation onto the glass, and it's just like clouds in the sky. When enough condensation or water vapor collects, it becomes those clouds that get so heavy that, of course, then the rain comes. So you'll see little droplets coming down the sides of your container. That's your precipitation. So we've made a little water cycle or a mini environment inside our own terrarium. Lots of fun. Now you're ready just to enjoy this. Put it into a nice place where it has bright light, not direct light, because you don't want to scorch any of those leaves. You may also, if your potting soil did not have any fertilizer in it, Add a few grains of just slow release fertilizer. This is called dynamite. You don't need a lot of this because you don't want your plants to grow very big. Make sure you do check in advance that you know what plants like to be in low light and have a moist environment. I also like to use anthuriums. They're a good plant to use too because they like this type of environment. You're going to check your soil every so often. I would check it every week. Just put your finger in the dirt, see how it feels. If it's still moist, you don't need any water. And since it's enclosed, you're probably not going to need water for at least 2 weeks. When you do, add just a couple of drops. You don't need a lot. If, on the other hand, you see too much water condensing, too many drops, you're going to take off that lid for a while, half hour to an hour, and let it air out. Let that moisture evaporate. And then you can put the lid back on. So that's the dirt on terrariums for today. Hope you had fun. And that's the Petite Gardener. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.